Oh yeah, oh yeah. South Africa, we're back with another short shooting, another episode of Iskwara Camp. Niyazi hlala siphethe izinto ezimnandi niyazi. So basically, I think it's been a while. I haven't been shooting an episode for Iskwara Camp podcast, but ngisase I want us to quickly jump into few things. A lot has been happening, and I've been watching. And so watching everybody moving around. And so I think it's time for me to just share a little bit of my opinion about the state of our country, what is happening in politics, especially politics, because politics plays a bigger role of our lives, whether directly or indirectly. Somehow politics just affect us. So I'm just gonna touch on a few things. First thing first, I don't want to be insensitive, but I've got a question with you. How did we get here? I'm talking about the issue Gamchita. I don't want to mention names. Issue Gamchita, Okawate Ichiriake, and also him committing suicide. So it's so sad. It's so sad. As a country, we are so sad to witness incidences like this, and we need to collectively take responsibility and try to discuss how we can overcome izinto ezikanje. As a society, we now have to believe that there's a problem, there's an underlying problem which needs a serious attention. So we really need to pay attention to these issues, guys. EGPV is one of the issues, for the past 18 episodes that I have shot before, I've mentioned it's a collective issue that needs a collective solution. Collectively, all of us, we need to participate to combat EGPV, and we need to stop tendency ukuthi siyablamana sikhombana ngemino lona ukhomba lo ukhomba lo wena you are not what enough, man enough, and lona naye you women do this and all that. It's not gonna help us. We're not kids, man. We need to combat this monster in a way that we are looking only for solutions. We need to be solution providers, not problem creators and chaos and everything. We can blame each other. Mangapega for the first 18 episodes, everybody was angry. I was also angry myself. I was angry. But now it's time to stop blaming, to stop being angry, to stop being judgmental, and to provide solutions. And what role do you play in your community? In your own space, what role do you play? You need to be constructive when you bring solutions. You need to make sure we are our PCs, how to we are or push and towards it's constructive. Otherwise, as a society, we can be as negative as we want. We're not going to benefit anything out of negativity. We all know that. So it's so sad, man. It's so sad, my friends. It's so sad, and then I'm very disappointed to as a country we find ourselves here. I want to talk about the governmental issues and politics. Recently, I've read on the news that ESCOM is bleeding billions. ESCOM, our electricity supply commission, is bleeding billions because of outstanding debts, outstanding bills that are not being paid. But here's my view, guys, on this thing, issue ESCOM. As much as citizens, we are expected to comply, we are expected to do the right thing, and all of that. We must be patriotic citizens. ba di beya ka mabitso ka mokgwa ba di beyang, but I mean, why would an average citizen have a motivation to buy electricity, whereas there are municipalities which are owing millions and billions to Eskom? Why, as a parent, ungafixi amaphutha wakho before you can correct your kids? I mean, why would you, as a government, want normal, average, poor citizens to buy electricity, whereas your municipalities are not buying electricity? They are not paying for electricity. But Balaita Mahala, and it's been years now. We talk about Joburg, you talk about Tswani, you talk about Ekuruleni. They owing billions of electricity bills, and they are not paying, but Balaita Maraba Patan. So it's so sad to expect an average citizen Orulam Kosquata campaign da Kotipsluti or Kotembisa or Apayam Klakasa, Abiriki Kamo, they are unemployed, the poverty keeps on striking, they are marginalized, they don't get job opportunities. Marawa expector Barakem class. I'm not promoting or I'm not condoning wrongful behavior here, but as we approach these issues, we need to also be conscious, or don't be more like you are oppressing people or you are subjecting people to do something that they can't really do, they can't really cope. Some of these people, quite frankly and honestly, they can't afford electricity. Make a plan, Joe. Utlekadi solutions are viable. Don't just oppress people, whereas when you're not buying electricity. If you check the municipality Tsekolotang electricity, they are not even paying a cent, but they are generating millions. And then where are those millions going? You'll never know. So it's a concern. It's bleeding billions because of its own issues before the citizens. Batlare batuba Soweto, batuba Alexandra, batuba Tembisa, batuba Dipsluti, Kai. There's many places where people are not paying for electricity. It's a fact. You can't run away from the Tinas. We square camp says Sploma na machimbo says Sploma na masister says born a lesson. The same Kukuin by abantu, and then they don't have choice but to. They need electricity. Remember, it's essential. They need electricity. And anyage bahlale transform land and they can't connect electricity. And you're telling them they must buy and they can't afford, they're unemployed. And somehow people will make a plan. Not to condone izinto wrong, but ungaba set up abantu ukuthi benze izinto wrong, then you blame them later. It's a problem. By the way, ngifuna ukungena ku-politics because that's the interesting topic, because currently we have witnessed EFF bleeding on both membership and followers. EFF was a very, very good party, and then big grand nje. But I say co-grand. Let's just be honest. I say co-grand. Reasons why the leadership, everything. In fact, the rot starts from the head. Everything that's not going accordingly. It's because of the leadership. Betrayal, and all of that. But I understand anyway. Before betrayal, Julius Malema is a leader, right, of the EFF, and he's in charge of that political party. And anything that goes wrong, hey, Julius Manje, what's going on? And Frostan. So my own take about this whole saga, because this is a drama that's happening in the EFF, and every political party has got its infights and internal squabbles and everything. But now, let's talk about the reality in the EFF. The reality in the EFF is that I think it could be that the relationship that have put them together as Floyd, Julius Malema, Dalimpof, I think it expired. Yeah, expired relationship. Even a relationship, a romantic relationship, even marriages do expire, by the way. There's nothing that is permanent. Umuntu uyashintsha, and then umuntu uyabhoreka along the way, umuntu uyayiluza ipurpose along the way impilo, and they happen to get bored and want to change. Yabo, because sometimes in life you grow apart. People are growing apart. My take is that maybe it could be that a relationship has expired, then they had to part ways. Or maybe it could be that Julius Malema had actually developed an ego, maybe probably bullying anyone in the party and wanting to have a last say. I think, you know why I'm saying this is because I think 2-3 months before the elections, you could watch his interviews. He had this thing, man, this ego. I remember about this issue here, illegal immigration, telling everyone on the national television he doesn't want a xenophobic vote, and people must find alternative ways to get into our country illegally and all that. I mean, as a leader, you can't be doing that on a public platform. You can't really be doing that because we are going through a lot as a country, and some of these issues are really, really honestly caused by illegal immigration. Umuntu ngana identity, and remember, we don't have a synchronized database whereby we can have everybody in one database. If you're coming from Zimbabwe and you come here illegally, and then you commit a crime here, and then there's fingerprints, it will always show unknown. So it's very difficult to track down such people who are committing heinous crimes, by the way, or somebody from Nigeria. And these guys, they know Uguti here, because they are not traceable. So as a South African, actually, you are standing a higher risk of getting arrested if you commit a crime than somebody who came here in a country illegally. So that was a reckless statement from Julius Malema, and then I think that has actually cost her dearly on the ballot box. That's why it might be that Julius Malema had developed that ego, and he was probably bullying everyone in the party, because sometimes you reach that stage in life when I so figile and no one will tell you anything. So it's one of those. Or the third part that makes me think, it could be that Julius Malema took an off-ramp and changed the mandate without proper consultations, or maybe they had a consultation and they had a discussion, because if you can check, just before just after Limpopo, he mentioned that he tried to convince Julius Malema about certain things, and they couldn't really agree on those things, and he decided to like joining MK. And I don't understand this thing Dalimpo for wanting Julius Malema to join the MK. I would have also disagreed, because you can't say a 10-year-old party must join at 6 months, a party which was not even conceived, by the way. It was just conceived, but it was not born. Sorry, and you want to convince people to leave to disband, actually, a 10-year-old party to join, it didn't make political sense. If Jacob Zuma is about unity and everything, why didn't he pull his forces towards the EFF? Let them join EFF, because they claim to be African, they claim to be patriotic, they claim to be fighting for people and all that. They could have easily done that. It wouldn't be an embarrassment. But for Julius Malema to join MK with all his support base, I think it could have been a flop. One of the reasons is that EFF has got a footprint. You go to Botswana, there's EFF. You go to other African countries, there's EFF. So it is an embarrassment. And then yeah, man, it was not gonna fly. So let's talk about betrayal. Does Julius Malema feel betrayed? Yes, he feels betrayed. Do I agree with he was betrayed? Yes, I do agree. Because you can't have your members say from a senior level and then leaving you just like that. I mean, what issues that could not be resolved for them to leave the party that they had been fighting for the past decade? 10 years. Floyd thinks he can easily build MK and then no, Floyd, you have to work. You really have to work, bro. I'm telling you, it's not easy, and then you will not be able to have much influence as much as you used to have in the EFF. Just like Mboyiseni Ndlozi, he wouldn't really have an influence in any other political party that he might be considering to join, compared to when he was in the EFF. So it's not gonna fly. It's not gonna fly. So if I was Julius Malema also, I would honestly feel I have been betrayed by these two officials, former EFF members, Floyd and Babu Tanikov. It's a betrayal. They shouldn't have made that move. And if you ask me now, did Floyd and Mpofu make conscious decisions by joining MK? I will give you this scenario. Anyway, before the scenario, let me answer straightforward. No, I don't think it's a smart move. Every political party has got its own internal battles and squabbles. And by the way, EFF was not in a bad shape in as much as the ANC. But, if you look at Abu Fikile Mbalula, they decided to stay in the ANC even though it was difficult. It's not easy, bro. It's difficult, but so it was not easy, but Abu Fikile Mbalula, they stayed in the party, in the ANC, although they could see, even now they can see already, ANC is dying, just a natural death. It's one of those parties that will be in the statistics. It once existed, it was vibrant, it was there during the Thabo Mbeki era and all of that. And if you ask me now, is Panyaza Lesufi about to exit? There's two possibilities in that. Panyaza Lesufi will leave the ANC. If he doesn't leave the ANC, they will expel him. They will expel him. Because you can't be disgruntled and still stay and don't want to go. If you're disgruntled, you are unhappy, you are dissatisfied about certain things, just go. Just go. I'm not saying I agree with what the ANC is doing, but if you can check, since the GNU thing started and all of that, Panyaza has been very disgruntled, and he has been showing that, that attitude, which is not really, it's not really viable. You can't be doing that when you are at a senior position, because you are very influential. Whatever you say, people will just exactly take it as it is and do exactly what you did. You remember he organized a march whereby he was showing off the manpower he has, the support and everything. So it's not viable for the ANC to keep Panyaza Lesufi. It's two things there. It's either he leaves the party, or it's either they expel him, they revoke his membership and all that, because it is safe to do that. It's the same as Julius Malema. If you ask me, is it viable for him to keep Mboyiseni Ndlozi? No. You are Julius Malema, you are angry at Mboyiseni Ndlozi, you are disgruntled, you don't trust him anymore, you are writing him off, you ban him on the NPA, National People's Assembly and everything, then fire him once. Why embarrass show off? Fire him, even this guy, Mboyiseni Ndlozi. He's wasting his time there in the EFF because his time is up. He just have to leave. Just leave, Ndlozi. Leave, mfethu, ulwana ipone plan ube mon. Don't be scared, man. Wana utshaba monna o ithile ka monna o mongwe gore hey o ithile ka Julius monna o monna moshaba a sa o nyaka monna mokgotsi a sa o nyaka moshaba monna nke le no dio sepela mokgotsi sepela le tokona pele monna ona le PhD. So you've got a PhD, but my concern is that his PhD might not really save him as much as we might think, because politics, man, if you are no longer influential in politics, you become useless, you become a return soldier, and you have to retire. And when you retire, you need to survive still. Remember, it's about making a living. So I don't see Mbuyiseni Ndlozi having a future beyond the EFF. That's basically my view. It's the same in Panyaza. Panyaza might leave ANC. Where is he going? Okatoma political party high. He can't do what Julius Malema did. He is not a Thomas Sankara of our era now. He can't do that. If ANC expels him, hopefully like a career high. Otlano monitor the guest house, the breakfast and bed or whatever, the business done and so on or whatever. I don't know what business interest he has, by the way. I'm just thinking because politicians, yeah, you know, or by investor, by some. So that hey career politics if then they can just chow or bus chai. So yeah, man, it's very difficult, you know, to make a political decision. Is you know, but to build a trust, and it takes years, but to break that same trust, it's a matter of minutes. You know, say something or do something wrong, then the trust is gone. So Mbuyiseni Ndlozi is no longer trusted. And then, yeah, so everything has to stop. Everything has to stop. For him, he just has to exit and make peace with the fact that it's over between him and Julius Malema. It's over. Like there's nothing that he can try to mold or to build. No, it's just over. It's done. And if you ask me, will Julius Malema, you know, be able to resuscitate the EFF? Is not. EFF is on life support, man. EFF is on life support, and then on the next elections, it will perform much more poorer than the previous elections. Remember, I'm referring to 2029. The local government elections and everything, I don't have issues with that. But the general elections, it will perform poorer than the previous time. And it wouldn't also be able to dominate the youth space because it's no longer resonating with many black people. I'm saying this because somehow people feel like they were sold out somehow. I also feel the same way UT EFF has taken an offering on many issues, and it's more like they are not actually representing Abantu baseMzansi. They are pushing their own mandate somewhere there. You know, the next day they swear at Johan Rupert, and if you check, Johan Rupert has employed more than 3,000 people. That man has got the economy in his hand. He can twist and change anything he wants to, by the way. And so the next morning, Uba Kaile 2 meter, the next morning, Baba Kaile Bukai Nyuko, and all of that. So it's because if you can check career, the EFF leader, CIC, Julius Malema, in the beginning, it was an issue of Zuma must fall, Zukta must fall. Okay, Zuma came out. In fact, it started with Mbeki. Mbeki, okay, must go out. Mbeki came out. And then now Zuma came in. Then Bakabana and Zuma and said, no, Zuma is no longer relevant. He must step down and all that. Zuma stepped down. Wakena Cyril and now Wakena Cyril, and he's still doing the same. So I don't understand who must actually be the president, or maybe himself. He must be the president and show us how to president, actually, how to be a leader. But I don't see him becoming that good leader. I see some kind of Mugabe, you know, ideologically and all of that. So behavior-wise. So even if Julius Malema becomes a president, which is something that is far-fetched, he won't really become a president. I think Gayton can be a president before Julius Malema, because Gayton knows how he has mastered how to maneuver around, how to move around. But at some point, Lena, he's more like, just like this ministerial position, Minister of Sports. He literally had to sweet talk and, sweet talk Ramaphosa and say, hey, it's going to work, we're working together and all that. No, what a position. And now you're there, you're comfortable. And then, so the biggest knock here EFF was this issue of illegal immigration. I think Julius Malema was super insensitive, egotistic, and then he was someone who didn't really care. And then so South Africans made him pay for that on the ballot box. Or no, okay, this is how you feel, because at some point calling your own citizens, your own people as xenophobic, that you don't want their xenophobic vote and all of that, that was bad. It was just one of those times, man, when as a politician you make a wrong move and you don't realize that. And maybe somehow, I don't know if Floyd, they try to advise him, no, don't talk like this, man. He on a national TV, and he kept on hitting the same notes. Like, when you try to call someone into order and they scream, whoa, and like, anyway, it's well big. So yeah, I think basically that's what happened. And if you ask me if you ask me now, is the MK viable for being the party that can lead South Africa in a sense that can the MK be the vehicle to take poor South Africans to the promised land? I don't think so. I don't think so, for so many reasons, John. I beg to differ. I know Uti, I'm not affiliated to any political party myself, because I don't want to be caged into believing everything that's being said by my political party, and I can't have a say, I can't have a different view. When you have a leader, you can't speak against his views and all of that. And sometimes they oppress you. So basically, South Africans, Babaratan politics, they are like this. When it is fashionable to join EFF, they join EFF. When it is fashionable to join the MK, I'm not like that. I'm buying a fashion. So actually, MK ki fashion, ki fashion. Remember those times? MK ki ball bottle, ki Macarena. Everybody is wearing Macarena. But people get bored and start to realize, no, man, these people are not actually fighting for us. They are fighting for themselves. Let me explain to you why I'm saying this. MK, sorry. In fact, South Africans, they don't need the Zuma era, if you know what I'm talking about. They don't need the Zuma era again. So MK is a political party which is actually formed by disgruntled former beneficiaries of the Zuma era who are trying to fight the buffalo, Cyril Ramaphosa, so that they can continue to eat. They were running IT companies, they were running construction companies, everything there, and they were getting government tenders during the Zuma era. Now they realize, no, man, we are no longer benefiting. So if you want to convince me what MK is what South Africans need, remember the Gupta era and all the corruption that has happened right under the former President Zuma's nose, and yet we still believe that he can change the situation. Why Why would he lift a finger now, like when he couldn't during his tenure where he had so much influence? So it's more like people are still pinning their hopes on Jacob Zuma, the former president, but I think it's a waste of time. We didn't say we're not saying he didn't do anything right in his era. He did whatever he did, and his time is up now. He must just I do a little hole or the it's just built on that. So I think Jacob Zuma started the MK for his kids, for the legacy of his kids, when he retires. And now the problem is that if you look at his kids, there's no one capable or maybe influential from a political point of view, who can take over the reins. I think he's pinning his trust on Duduzile, but Duduzile man. Most of the time she is not politically smart. In politics, you need someone who's very smart, someone who knows how to maneuver around, and someone who has got masses like support. I like what Mr. Prince Mashele mentioned the other day on this other channel. Will MK survive without Zuma? MK will not survive without Zuma. It will become, maybe it can even go as low as under EFF without that Madala. That Madala is the master of chess, and he can outmaneuver all of them, even in the ANC. That man, because they know that man is from intelligence. That man used to push bigger operations. So they are too scared of him. So they won't try. So MK is just formed to actually fight Ramaphosa, because Ramaphosa has cancelled all the tenders, has cancelled everything that they used to benefit on, and now he's taking those tenders to white people, to his masters, because Ramaphosa is a good listener, and then Ramaphosa, one of the masters, they are telling him instructions, what to do and how to do it, and he can't undermine their instruction. He has to follow their instructions, otherwise they're gonna just pull out a pala fight. If you can check now, you look at Helen Zille, look at DA, how they are pushing now. They are too quiet because they are eating now, and then they are no longer complaining about pala or what. They are not. They are very quiet, relatively quiet, because why? And they know. They told him that if you start now to misbehave, you're gonna pull a pala fight. But now, if you check Parliament, if they talk about the pala issue, DA downplays that. And another thing, if you look at how this whole thing is played, a president is not nominated by people through votes. No, the investors, they decide we want this man, we still need to use this. After using him, they will dump him. So that's politics, man. I think I'll end here for today, because there's a whole lot that I'm just gonna be delivering, keep on delivering. Mboile Bafetu as pushing. I'm lesser angrier now. I'm no longer that extreme. I'm no longer that angry, because you realize that sometimes wouldn't really solve issues, and I needed to be sober. I needed to, because if you present something when you're sober, people are thinking, no, okay, cool. So I want to say what I said when I'm sober, like Joe Young Frostan. So yeah, man, I'm gonna be pushing. I'm gonna be delivering content, especially political commentator, political commentation, or whatever you call it. This vaccine does it, or sports, or music, or what, or I'm a celebrity, but I'm going to deliver whenever time allows me to do that, because I've got also other channels that I'm pushing anyway. Ngizombona Squad Camp Podcast ngemncane nonke 7 kulendawo chop as well.